Hi folks, how you doing? It's James, JT at the Movies, and I'm finally back with you for the fourth and final instalment of the Building the Movie Cave series that I've been doing on the channel, and I think the one that you've all really been waiting for, where I finally give you the tour of this new movie room, this new sort of movie cave cinema that I've built in my house. I'm so chuffed with it, and I can't wait to show you it. I imagine this video is going to bring some new viewers to the channel, so before we dive into the tour, can I just say, please leave the video a thumbs up if you enjoy it, leave me some comments down below as well, and if you are new here, before we go any further, if you could just hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, it would mean the world to me, as it helps my channel to grow, and of course means I get to know you over future videos as well. But with all that said, shall we do what you've come here for, and shall I give you the tour? And so the tour begins with me coming up the cellar steps, really, to show you the posters first and foremost. So as you come into the cellar from my kitchen, this is what you're greeted with. So on the wall there, we have all 5 Indiana Jones posters. My aunt and uncle got me the first 3 ages ago, and I've had 4 and 5 printed up and sort of put them down the wall. I absolutely love that there. And then here is the poster that I bought for 1408 at the horror convention earlier this year. That's Laura's, It's one of these sort of metal plated sort of, newspaper type things. And then we've got all sorts of stuff up here, a Nightmare on Elm Street print that I got from the same people that gave me the 1408 poster here. My aunt and uncle got me that. The idea was that it would go on the door, but Laura's got me a sign that's on the door at the moment, and eventually I'm going to have a mural painted on the other side of the door in the kitchen, so I've put the sign there. So this is something that I've shown before on the channel. This is a screen-used $100 bill from The Dark Knight. So the radiated bills that Batman leaves behind, these are the ones that basically flush out the stacks. So it's a real one on top, a real one on bottom, and then it's these that are sort of in between. So obviously there were hundreds, if not thousands of them, and my friend bought me that for my 18th birthday. And then I've always loved this Two-Face artwork for the comics, and actually came across this comic in a charity shop and couldn't believe I'd found it in the wild. I don't believe it's a rare issue or anything, so to speak, but I just always enjoyed it, so I framed that and put that up. Also at the horror convention, not really horror related, but I got this Harrison Ford sort of pencil drawing. Obviously I'm a huge Harrison Ford fan, as you know. Up here we have what's called a frome. So, and sorry you can see the light reflecting in it, but this is a dominant colour for every frame of the film. And this particular film is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So I just think it's a really cool piece of artwork, and Laura got me these for my 30th birthday, I believe. She got me this, and then there's another one behind me I'll show you in a minute, which is for The Fugitive. I've then got my Back to the Future sort of giant poster, if you like, that was in the old movie room. And then I've also got, hi, you can see me, the Abyss poster that my friends Chloe, Ed, Vic and Ruxar from work got me a couple of Christmases ago. This used to be up in the kitchen, but I thought I've got to move it in here when the room was done. There's the other frome, and that's for The Fugitive, and then up there's another one of those sort of metal newspaper type things for the X-Files. This was something that my friends Ruben and Olivia got me, if I'm remembering rightly. I think somebody that they knew was getting rid of it, so they saved it for me, and it's a Raiders poster. So really it's the same poster, and I can't do it justice in such a narrow stairwell, but it's the same poster as the one up there, but I wanted to keep it up. There's me and David Duchovny there. I met him when he did a tour with his band about a decade ago. That was great. Little Star Wars poster there, and then a platform 9 3/4 metal plaque that I actually bought from Goatland Station, which is where Hogsmeade Station was filmed in the series. I got this one just this week, free at Cineworld. It's an Alien Romulus poster. I loved it. So when I saw they were giving free posters out, I was like, yep, want one of them for the room. And then there is my I Know What You Did Last Summer poster that came with the box set. I won the box set in a raffle that Carlini09 did on his channel years ago. And it's one of my favourite pieces in my collection. And I've had that up in every movie room that I've ever had. So it had to go up in here, of course, as well. And then to come back up the stairs, there's my James Bond VHS collection that's got all the films up to GoldenEye in it. And then this is an old registration plate for a classic car that my dad used to have. So it's kind of Bond related, simply because the car was a Sunbeam Alpine, which for Bond nerds like me, you'll know is the car that Bond drove in Doctor No. and it was a car that they borrowed off a resident in Jamaica. It wasn't anything that Eon Productions bought. But Dad bought one off the back of that, being a Bond fan himself, and it was a different colour, but, you know, it was still that car. And so it was great sort of having a Bond car in the garage growing up, and he sold it, you know, eventually. And he had metal plates made for it, and I can't remember what, but there's a slight defect with it, so this one didn't go on the car. And then it hung up in our garage for ages. And then obviously when he passed away, I decided I'd keep it, and I've been looking for the right place to sort of hang it up somewhere, and then I decided that it would fit just nicely there, just on this little ledge as you come down, and sort of almost work as a bit of a sort of a, you know, remind you to duck sort of thing, because there's not much headroom down here. I've got maybe that much headroom between me and the ceiling, so yeah, there's not much room to play with at all sort of thing. But I really like that as you see it when it comes in, and it reminds me of my dad as well. So we'll come down the stairs. That is a postcard from a Vincent van Gogh exhibit. I just really liked that. And then I'm zooming in here again because I've not really got any other way to do it, but there's my Bond poster with all of them on, all 25. I've got a License to Kill poster upstairs, which is my favourite one, but that's up in the recording studio. I decided that I keep this one up because then they're all represented and I don't have to sort of start picking a favourite. And we'll come back out here and I'll show you this. So this is a bookcase that was in the old movie room, and I have actually cut it down. I could have probably done a better job. That side's better, but this side, I guess I was tired. It looks a bit shit, doesn't it? But it'll do for now. Eventually I will have something built into that alcove to house all this stuff. But we've got my Tomorrow Never Dies video set there. We've got Simon Pegg's biography, Michael Keaton, Batman, some animated series Batman figures from back in the day. They were ones that I had as a kid that I've rebought off eBay that I no longer have, but wanted them back again, so I've bought them again. Well, bought Batman and Riddler from eBay. I got Two-Face from a chap called Gareth who runs a pop culture shop in Huddersfield called Diversions. There's my Deadpool pop, and I think that was the first ever pop that I ever got. And a random side note, I bought that on a day that I went to see Fleetwood Mac, so that has been to a Fleetwood Mac concert with me. Then my James Bond pops, you've got Daniel Craig, Roger Moore, Jaws, and Blofeld. And then there's a little stress toy chair there behind that I like to keep behind Blofeld because I just think it looks really cool. Then in this one, we've got Jeff Goldblum, The Flash, Keaton Batman, Jigsaw, and Mr. Men Doctor Who. We've got the character of Mike from It, Arnie, The Nun, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, Sean Connery, and then Robin from the animated series. And then we've got more down here. We've got Wally and Eve at the back, Jack Skellington, Negan, the 13th Doctor, the TV Flash, Stewie Griffin, Doc and Marty. We've got the Sports Almanac and Marty McFly's wallet. Can't do it one-handed, but I'll maybe show it in another video. But as well as reproductions of like all his IDs and stuff in there, there's the like save the date thing with Jennifer's number written on the back of it and all the other little bits of paper. Laura got me that. It's a really cool little tidbit. We've got more pops down there. We've got the Justice League, and then one of the characters from Hocus Pocus, Cubert from Pixels, and obviously the old video games as well, and Beetlejuice. And then we've got some more at the back there, which I can't quite see. I think, yeah, I can't. Pennywise is one of them. I think Doctor Strange, and then not entirely sure who the other one is there. Harley Quinn. We've got a little bull that Laura bought me that I really like. He's lost a horn along the years, but I love him to bits. We've got the character from Split. We've got Joker, Batman, and we've got an Atlantis guard from Aquaman. And then we've got all my James Bond sort of movie-related books and cinema books here. And then a couple of laser discs on the end. The Abyss laser disc, Never Say Never, and View to a Kill. 3 or 4 laser discs that I own there. And then we've got an anniversary edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. We've got my early 2000s edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And I think that copy of, is it Civil War in there? I think that's my mate Dan's, is that? So I must get that back to him at some point. But it's in good, safe hands, mate. And then more books and stuff there. So that probably means that I should show you what you're getting a little glimpse of here. Actually, before I do, my mate Ruben got me this. He says, when you get your movie room put together, he bought me it years ago. He says, that's got to go above the door. So, true to my word, that's where it is. But anyway, let's come into the room, shall we? And it's stopped echoing now that I'm in here and there's not loads of walls for it to echo on. So, There we go. Now, eventually, I'll just come straight to this corner and sort of address what I feel is the elephant in the room. That's storage under there and under the stairs we've just come down. I am going to have some sort of a curtain put across there or something like that. I was inspired by what the guy over at what used to be Cinema Sickness did, where he had like to have a curtain to access his like electric meter or something, and he sort of made it look like it was the adult section of an old video store and put like a red velvet curtain up. So I'll probably do something similar. This one is special collections of things like Criterion and Arrow and Premium Collection, and then there's a few bits and bobs there that I'm not too sure what I'm doing with in terms of where I want to display them, like the 3 recent Cameron 4Ks and Christopher Nolan's filmography. And then here's a sneak peek of things that I've bought recently. So that was what I showed you in my last update, and this is what I'm going to be showing you in my next update, plus a couple of others. So we'll show you the Blu-rays first for a change. I'm normally a DVD guy, as you know, but I'll start with the Blu-rays. So it starts up here with numbers and goes across and comes into C at the end there. And what I've done is I've left a couple of titles room on each shelf so that when I'm putting things away for the first couple of months at least, it's going to be easier to slide things in. And then, of course, C goes along to F. F continues along here and goes on to J, and then so on and so forth. I'll just pull this chair forward so that you can see. That's where they go, and obviously there with plenty of room to grow, and if I need to, I'll obviously overflow into that wall there. So I've had these chairs for a while. These two were in the first ever movie room that I've had. They need a good going over with the spot cleaner that we've got. I've just not had a chance to do it. When we moved to this house, they were in the living room for about 6 months, while we saved up for the suite that we wanted, and then they've been in storage ever since, and really only come back when we've moved down here. So yeah, absolutely, they need freshening up, but they're all right. They're fine for now. And then this was a chair that we used to have up in the bedroom. You might have seen this in some of my more recent videos from the old movie room. This is what I used to sit in. And we thought that obviously there's me and there's Laura that comes down here, but if ever my sister comes over, or if ever, you know, my friends, Phil, Ruben, Adam, whoever come over and want to watch a movie, that, you know, there's that extra chair that somebody can sit in. Or my mates from school, Lyndon and James, often, you know, sort of, we have film nights and rotate whose house it's at. So there's, you know, there's 3 chairs down here. It just made sense to have extra. I did want a settee across here, but it was going to be sort of taking up too much space in the room. So I'll show you the DVDs now. So the DVDs start all the way down here with, again, numbers, and go across A all the way down there, and then carry on down there, and so on and so forth, and pretty much goes all the way down to the floor. And I only really have, in terms of DVDs, that much space to grow into. So I bet you're thinking, well, James, at the rate that you buy films, you're going to have that filled up in a couple of months. And you are right. However, what I'm going to be doing, and I've already started this, is going through this collection. And if there's anything that I explicitly don't want, then it's going to a CEX or a charity shop, or, you know, another movie collector that wants it, that sort of thing. But if there's films that I want to keep in the collection, but I'm thinking, actually, they're taking up shelf space, and I don't necessarily, you know, think I'll watch it in the next 12 months, then I'm going to lose the case and put the disc in a protective sleeve. And then I'll come over here and show you what I've been doing. I've shown this in other videos, but putting them in sleeves like this, where I keep the artwork, it's all still intact. The disc's inside there in a wallet with a felt back, so it's as protected as it could be. And if I'm not dragging those discs in and out, sort of every 5 minutes, then they'll be fine for scratches. So I'm going to go through this and remove any titles, like I say, that I don't think I'll ever watch again, and then the ones that I don't think I'll watch in the distant future, or the near future rather, I'm going to decase. And then that way this collection can be sort of more, you know, what's displayed can be the quality rather than quantity side of things. We'll then come over here to this shelf, and that's the ring light that I use when I make my videos. These are some of the ones that I'm getting rid of. They're either doubles or things that I don't want anymore. So there's a stack there to sort out. It's baby's chair for when he comes down here. He likes to sit in his little rocking chair. But this over here is, again, more what I call special collections. So at the top, we've got here Nicolas Cage. And then that goes into Harrison Ford, which continues along here. Then we've got all my old James Bond DVDs. I'm not entirely sure why Max and Paddy and Phoenix Nights ended up on the end there, but they did. Then we've got all my DC stuff, both the DCEU and animated stuff and whatever else, DVD, Blu-ray. And then that goes along there into my DVD Marvel stuff, and then finally my Blu-ray Marvel stuff. And then, because I have absolutely no taste whatsoever, I've got my Steven Seagal films. I really enjoy the early 90s stuff, like Fire Down Below there is actually my favourite of his films, and it's because I have such nostalgic memories of watching it with my dad when I was a young lad. But, I mean, so much of that is shite, really. And then down here, we've got more Seagal into the legend that is Mr. Jackie Chan, and then that goes over into Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's some Clint Eastwood there as well, and the Clint Eastwood movies that I've got on the shelves here are movies that aren't in this Clint Eastwood box set that I got a few years ago, which is pretty much everything he ever did up to about 2004. And then on the bottom shelf, the inspiration for one of my most recent videos on the channel is all my Scooby-Doo media. So there's every direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movie down there, and quite a few of the series compilations and box sets as well. So I'll come back over to this shelf here. So we've got the Clint Eastwood box sets, as I've said. So in here, they've just got the DVDs that look like that in all the different sets. And it's like I say, every film that he's done up to about 2004. On this shelf, there's all the sort of slim-cased sleeve DVDs, whatever you want to call them, that I've done there. And so you might be wondering why A Bronx Tale's been slimmed down, but it's because I've got it on Blu-ray. And I wanted to keep the DVD because I think there's some extras on that aren't on the Blu-ray that I've got because it's an import. But that's very much a tangent there. But yeah, just to give you an idea, these are all full like that. And it would probably fill, if they were in full cases, 3/4 of that. So it's amazing how much space they can save. And then, you know, eventually I'll have another one there and, you know, probably spill into it more. There's some old VHS tapes there. There's some ones from when I was a kid of the Mask. Now, I can get that if I want on Amazon Prime, but I've kept them just for now. There's the two sort of Spider-Man movies from the 70s that are compiled out of the 70s TV show. They're not great, but I really enjoyed them. And again, it's that sort of nostalgia from being a kid. And to be fair, Spider-Man Strikes Back in particular is on YouTube at the moment because it must be outside of any sort of copyright. And I have actually watched it recently because I just sort of felt like having a bit of a nostalgia trip. But I keep hold of the VHSs because it's the only way to have them sort of legitimately. The Simpsons one was one of my dad's, and so it's just sort of there really again as sort of a memento. Same with the two Bond ones. The Bee Gees one, I think I've got the Blu-ray of that actually now, so I probably don't even need to hang on to that, but for the longest time that was the only way to get that concert, and I do love the Bee Gees. And there's some Fleetwood Mac CDs there, and a PlayStation game which should be upstairs with my PlayStation, but for whatever reason it's ended up down here. On this next shelf, we've got my little X-Files collection there. We've got the series 1 to 9 and the 2 movies. And then I had the 2 movies before I got the box set, so they're there. And then seasons 10 and 11 and The Lone Gunman. And then they're not pop vinyls, but a similar sort of idea, the bobbleheads of Mulder and Scully. That's my mum's husband's box set of Family Guy. He lent me that well over a decade ago. And Miles, I don't know if you want it back. If you do, it's there for you. If not, it's got a good home. And then we've got the Complete 24, or at least I think it's the Complete 24. There might be a season missing from it now. And then we've got the Blade Runner tin that has all the different cuts in it. It just doesn't fit on the shelves up there where the Harrison Ford stuff is. And then we've got the alternate Force Awakens cover art there for Star Wars. And then down on this bottom shelf, we've got my Stargate collection and my Sopranos box set. Over here, we've got an Audrey 2 and then some Batman and Robin figures that I picked up a couple of years ago just because I was feeling nostalgic. On this shelf, we have got the extended Lord of the Rings box set. It's a couple more of my dad's old VHSs. I kept Frantic because it's Harrison Ford. And I always remembered liking the Deep Blue Sea one we had and looking at it on the shelf when I was a kid. So when we were getting sort of rid of the VHSs, I decided I'd keep that one. And then my old DVD copy of The Mask. It's one that I've had for yonks, and even though I've got the Blu-ray now, I wanted to keep hold of it. I've got a little teddy face hugger thing here that Laura got me, and then my old Alien DVD box set signed by Paul McGann, who played Golic in Alien 3. And then I'll just move Ted out of the way here so that you can see there is the 007 tin that's got all the sort of the gun barrel logo ones from the 90s and early 2000s in it. There's the DVD editions that I picked up of Bond 50 at DVD Emporium for £5. I just couldn't leave it behind. I've got absolutely no reason to have it other than to add it to my Bond collection. An Asian release of James Bond. And then we've got the Bond 50 Blu-ray box set that I've got there. And then the CDs on top are the CD single releases of Skyfall and Writings on the Wall. So that's everything in those shelves. Let's show you now some collectibles that I've got. We'll start with this. So this is a recent edition, and this is just a notebook that's been released, I presume as sort of tie into the new Beetlejuice movie. But I really liked that it's the artwork for the handbook for the recently deceased from the original Beetlejuice. So just a great little sort of display piece. We've got the mask from The Mask. This is possibly my favourite thing in my whole collection. I bought this on eBay when I was 14 because I was obsessed with that film once upon a time, and just desperately had to have that sitting on my shelf. And I love it. It's just absolutely fantastic. We've got here a copy of The Mummy, which you can just make out there has been signed by Tom Cruise. We've got the Joker slipcover signed by Lee Gill, who plays Gary in the movie, who's the short chap who's really the only one that's friendly to Joker in the movie, so he doesn't kill him at the end. And apparently he's coming back for the sequel as well, he told Laura. We've got my JT at the Movies logo canvas that Laura had printed for me. My friend Chloe did a bit of graphic design once upon a time, and she made this up for me with all my favourite sort of, you know, franchises and whatever else on it. So I absolutely, you know, love that logo. I still use the face on it on things now, and for the longest time this was my profile picture on YouTube and Instagram and whatever. Laura had us caricatures made up for an anniversary a few years ago, and that's always been in whatever movie room that I've had, so it just sits on the windowsill now. My little Sonic the Hedgehog lamp, if ever I wanted to use it. Now, these are really cool. These are from a company called The Movie Requillery, and let me just try and get it in better light. That'll do. So this is a piece of the rubber prosthetic worn by Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever. So it's, you know, about 1 centimetre squared of the rubber prosthetic, but it's still really cool to have that, and it's got the authenticity stuff on the back of it. And then the same there for the rubber prosthetics worn by Jonathan Breck in Jeepers Creepers. This is Laura's signed copy of the Rocky Horror Picture Show by Patricia Quinn, who played Magenta. I got my DVD signed, which is filed away and all that lot, but I thought, well, let's display Laura's copy since she's got the Blu-ray, and then it's easy access because Laura likes to watch this fairly regularly, this film. A Batman pop, and then we've got another sort of bobblehead type thing of Henry Jones Sr., the Japanese laserdisc of Last Crusade, and this looks like a videotape of Last Crusade, and technically is, but it's been converted inside into a lamp, so I can open it up and turn it on like a little lamp, but I just choose to keep the thing sort of like that and just displaying it as a VHS. There's a couple of Harrison Ford sort of compilation soundtracks there, and there's my replica of the Grail diary that my sister bought me for my 30th. There's my replica of the Grail that I bought to cheer myself up in lockdown. There's a print that I got in a Comic-Con, and then John Rhys Davies's autograph, which again I got at a Comic-Con. So that's my little sort of Indiana Jones section. And then I've got these that Laura just bought for me really as a present for this room. She got them at a Comic-Con. She went to, when I was in London watching Stevie Nicks, and so they're prints of the Indiana Jones trilogy with, you know, obviously reproduction signatures on of the main cast. So I think that's just really cool in lieu of having Harrison Ford's actual autograph, which one day I will track down and I will get. And then just in the corner there, we've got my little Blues Brothers poster as well. I love that film. Over here, we've got, and I don't think I showed this properly already, but we've got George Lazenby's autograph, and then we've got a print from when Goldfinger was re-released in the cinemas at some point in the late 70s or 80s, and this is it was part of a cinema poster, but it's been trimmed down and framed, and Laura got it at an antiques convention. I just think it looks really cool and is a really nice companion piece to this. Now, this is the first time these two pieces have ever been in a movie room of mine. I always had them up in the living room, but I decided when I was making this room that they needed to come down here. And then I've got Jeremy Bullock's autograph there. I met him a few years ago. He signed this for me and my old Empire Strikes Back VHS as well. He played Boba Fett in the original trilogy. And then after his voice was dubbed by the actor that played Jango Fett, George Lucas brought him back to play one of the admirals in the prequel trilogy as well. So he's got a really sort of rich Star Wars connection there. Sadly, no longer with us as well. So I really sort of cherished that I got to meet him and got his autograph. Another little indie pop on a keyring there. And then we have here Julian Glover, who played Walter Donovan in The Last Crusade, and also Christatos in James Bond, For Your Eyes Only. There's autograph as well. So I really quite like that those two hang above the telly. We've got my sort of very cheap replica of the Heart of the Ocean from Titanic. So I bought that from the Titanic Museum in Belfast. When we went round the souvenir shop, that was the thing that jumped out at me. Being a film buff, I thought, well, I've got to have that. And then I think I mentioned this before, but my Blockbuster sign as well. So, shall I show you now the TV? So this is my new TV that I'm very, very pleased with. It is a Hisense QLED 55-inch. I got it on a sale. It should have been 600, and I got it for 450, I think. And then it's fantastic. It's it's an intermediate sort of level TV. It's not sort of an OLED or a, fancy sort of thing, but for what I use it for, it's absolutely the best TV I've ever had. And then I've at the moment got a Goodman soundbar that I only bought in June for my birthday. However, Laura's Uncle Peter, who is also a film and cinema enthusiast, has massively sort of downsized his sort of collection and film watching at home, and has given me a 5.1 system with a receiver and everything, which I'm going to be hopefully installing at some point in this room with the help of my mate Phil at some point in the next few weeks. So there'll be a follow-up video on that, but for now we've got the Goodman soundbar. And then I've also got the LEDs sort of stuck to the back of the TV that you can see there, so they sort of help set the mood with the lights and things. And then I've got my Panasonic 4K player and my trusty LG Blu-ray player there as a backup. And then some more Bond Blu-rays because I am obsessed. And then, whilst I hate The Last Jedi, the only thing I really liked about the film was the Porgs, can you believe it or not? So I have a Porg, and his name is Jeff, and he sits by the TV. And then at the other side of the TV, I have a little panda as well. This is something that Laura got me. She won me this in an amusement arcade, and it's always been very special to me. But it's become even more special now. We've had a little boy, and he's called Alexander, and he's ended up with the nickname Panda because it rhymes with Alexander. So that's it's a little panda, and it reminds me of my little boy. And I don't really think there's much else to show you down here. The only thing really left to say is a massive thank you to my Uncle Mick and to Paul, his building partner, who did all the hard work down here. And you'll have seen the series most likely on the channel if you're regular viewers of the conversion. But from what this was to what it is just absolutely unbelievable. The cupboard here has all the electric and the gas and the water meters for the house and all that sort of stuff. Behind the bulkhead here, where the Indiana Jones stuff is, there's actually a dehumidifier and aircon unit that's feeding pipes that are built into all this here and coming out of that vent in the corner there. Underneath the carpet here, and if we needed to get to it, we just peel it back. But there's a sump pump and there's guttering around the edge of the room. And obviously you'll have seen the tanking progress and stuff like that. So this room is absolutely just damp-proof, sound, secure, the works. It's probably the nicest sort of most up-to-date room in the house in terms of, sort of being freshly converted and decorated and whatever else. And it's just an absolute dream come true to finally have a room like this. It's something that I've wanted for the longest time. So a massive thank you must go to Mick and Paul for helping me do this as well. I've got to thank Laura for putting up with me, sort of, as well as helping raise a new baby, sort of having the house in turmoil while this was all done so that we could turn the old movie room into baby's bedroom and I could get all this good stuff from the second floor of our house down into the basement. You can imagine what a challenge it was trying to get, these chairs down that very narrow flight of stairs and things like that. And, thousands of films and whatever else. So it's been a long, challenging, tiresome, but rewarding process. And I'm just absolutely over the moon with it, guys. And I hope that this sort of very informal tour video has scratched the itch for those of you that have been following the journey. So there we are, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this very informal look round my movie room, my movie cave, as I'm calling it. It's an absolute pleasure to have, as I've just said, and I'm really happy to have been able to bring you guys along for the journey as well. Like I said earlier, leave your comments and your thoughts down below. Don't forget to leave the video the thumbs up, and if you are new here, please think about subscribing. It really does mean the world. Above all else, folks, take care of yourselves, and I will see you again really soon. Bye for now.